Hi, everybody, and good morning. Happy March. I can't believe it is March 1st, and we are in the last couple of days of our 8-week intro psych class that we have together. Thank you for those of you who are here with me. Everything looks clear on my end, but can you all hear me and see me okay before we continue on, just to make sure everything's coming in just fine on your end? Wait just a minute to make sure. Okay, good. Perfect. I'm at home, so you may end up with a random cat today. We'll see. If one comes close, I will grab them. That's the best part about being at home, right? Is that you can randomly bring your pets into your work. But anyway, what I want to do today is I want to talk a little bit about what we have going on this week. I want to remind you, and I will remind you multiple times, our class ends Friday night at 11:59 p.m. Not Sunday, but Friday, okay? And that is, I know, confusing. It's not my choice. It is the way the college set it up. So please try and make a mental note of that everything is due by Friday night. I will feel awful for you if you email me on Sunday or Monday and say, oh my gosh, why is it closed? But it will be too late. So please just try and keep that in mind. But what I want to do is just talk a little bit about the things this week that are due. This should be kind of short and sweet for our last Twitch session, but I want to make sure you're feeling good about everything, and this is a wonderful opportunity, as always, to ask me questions if you have them. Right, so we're here on Canvas, right, and we are all the way here. Hard to believe it, but we are in week number 8, and again, our class ends in just a couple of days. So hopefully you've already started on week 7. If you haven't, it is open, and it has been open, and you're welcome to get going on that. This week, the last 2 chapters we have are chapter 15 and 16. So looking at the therapies and how we treat mental illnesses. And then social psychology, which is about as broad as psychology tends to get. Very kind of overlapping with sociology a little. So you have the 2 chapters, the lectures and the lecture videos, like always, same format as all semester. You have 2 discussions this week, which we'll talk about in a second. An exam, which is our final, and the study guide for that. And then the one other thing that you have that's a little different that we'll go over is the closing assignment. And I want to make sure you feel good about that and know what I'm expecting. So let's look at the discussions really quickly, then we'll talk about the exam and then the closing assignment. So discussion number 15, for this one, you are looking at therapy and different therapies. What are some stereotypes of therapy that you either hold personally, or maybe you've seen or heard in the media or from others? How would you describe the stereotypical therapist? What words and phrases and things come to mind? What gender, age, or appearance might they have? My instant thought every time with a therapist is, how does that make you feel, right? And the follow-up to that is, tell me more about that. So, think about any stereotypes you have of therapy or therapists or people who go, things you might find in the room, anything related to therapy. And then your biggest source of points is this last bullet here, using the textbook, lecture, and the website that's right here. If you were to ever consider going to therapy, I want you to talk about 2 therapeutic approaches that would be your top choices and why. And when you're describing those approaches, I want you to give me at least 1 technique and the goal of each of your chosen types of therapy. So make sure you're referencing specifics about that approach. Show me that you understand it, right? That you know what they would cover, how they would approach treatment. And that's where most of your points are going to come in. And so what I often see is people don't really elaborate here, and that's the spot where they lose the most points. So again, make sure you really describe and highlight what you would be interested in exploring and how that type of therapy would go about doing that. What are some techniques? And so on. As always, I have a little video here that you can watch. Remember, it's worth 15 points as usual. And then discussion number 16. Your last discussion, I get sentimental toward the end. If you've taken a class with me, you know this. I get sentimental. I'm sad that our class is over. It went so quickly. I start another one, though, on Monday. So, I get to do it again. Hopefully, none of you have to do it again. So, discussion 16, the last one, has to do with social psych. And as always, again, watch my little video. Think about these as mini papers. With this one, with social psychology, I want you to do a couple of things. The first, you're going to perform 3 random acts of kindness or altruism. Ideally, these should be unplanned and random. They can be small, they can be bigger. It's kind of up to you and up to the situation. These can be on family members or strangers, whatever is convenient. So what I want you to do is describe those 3 acts. What did you do? What were the reactions? How did you feel? What happened? Kind of talk about that a little bit. Bullet number 2, I want you to describe a time where you were the victim of prejudice or discrimination. And this could be on your age, your race, your ethnicity, orientation, gender, religion, level of ability, or anything. And I would venture to bet just about every single one of you have experienced a moment or incident of prejudice or discrimination in your life. If you haven't, you could write about somebody in your family or a friend or a partner, somebody you know, and their experience. And then finally, what are some strategies that people can employ to help reduce prejudice and discrimination? So building on everything you've learned in chapter 16, I really look forward to reading what you do and just reading everything that you come up with here. The next thing, as usual, you have a 4th exam, and this is our final, but it is just a 4th test. So the final is on everything since exam number 3. So as usual, you're taking that on the ebook site, all the same reminders that I've given you all semester, right? Don't wait till Friday night to do it. Try and set yourself up for success by having good internet and a quiet place to take it. Make sure you prepare and study like you would for a normal exam. The study guide's right here. So if you click on study guide number 4, it's going to give you the terms that you need to know, just chapters 13, 14, 15, and 16. So stress and health, abnormal behavior and mental illness, therapies, and social psychology. So make sure you know everything on here. If it's on here, it will be on the test. If it's not on here, you don't need to worry about it. So study through this, write it out, type it out, have it in front of you. Hopefully by now you know exactly what you need to do for the exams. But exam number 4 is due this Friday night, like everything else. And then you have one last thing, and rather than giving you a cumulative exam, I've given you a little bit of a reflection paper, and this is worth 25 points, so it's more than a discussion, obviously less than an exam. So I'd like you to spend some time working on it, right? Make sure that you read over the instructions. Here's a little sample submission. Here's a list of different concepts that you could cover. But let's take a look at the closing assignment. And my goal with this is to get you to think back over the semester and what you can take away from this class and apply to your life. So applying concepts to your life is the point of this. Again, we're 25 points. So you're going to look over the list of topics that we've covered. And I want you to pick 5 specific things that you can relate to your life in some way. So discuss 5 specific ways that the content from this class can apply to your life. For each example, I want you to choose one term or concept on that list on the previous page and follow this format. It's not really even a paper. It's a very kind of specific format that I'm looking for you to do. You're going to give me the term or concept. You'll define it. You can literally copy and paste the definition from the book if you would like. That's totally fine. Where your points are coming in, though, is this last bullet, the application piece. I'm looking for you to explain to me how the term or concept makes sense of something that has happened in the past, or how it could help guide you in a real life situation in the future, how you could use this in your life in some way. So let's say you choose the concept of I just thought positive reinforcement, right? So you would say term, positive reinforcement, definition, when you are adding something pleasant or desired in order to reward or reinforce a behavior. And then the application could be, something about rewarding yourself. So my dog's just walking by right now. So let's say I want to reward my dog for not jumping up on me when I let her in from being outside. Right, it would be a great behavior to fix because she's big. She's a big dog and she hurts sometimes, right? So let's say I use positive reinforcement, and when she comes in the house, if she doesn't jump on me, I pet her. I'm adding something she wants. I'm rewarding her with the hope that she will learn to not jump on me, or maybe I give her a treat. So I'm looking for you to show me that you can take a concept that we've covered and apply it to your life in some kind of meaningful way. In terms of formatting, again, I want you to number these 1 through 5. Follow this little format that I have right here. It should be roughly 2 pages or so, standard margin, standard text, and you're going to submit that right up here. If I hit student view, let me go to your view. You'll hit start assignment, and then you'll upload a file. And this should be something that you are doing. I have the little rubric here, basically 5 points for each of the 5 examples and topics that you're covering. And it's worth 25 points in total. So spend some time on this. If you go back one page here to our week number 8 module, Right underneath it, I have a list of concepts. So it occurred to me that maybe as you're trying to think back over the class, there's so many things that we covered that that might be overwhelming. So what I did is write some of the kind of key terms and concepts from each chapter. It doesn't have to be on here, but I was just trying to kind of give you a little bit of guidance. So here's where you might find some ideas for concepts to cover. And then underneath that, there's one more document that might be helpful, and that's this little sample submission. So what I'm looking for you to do here is, again, follow this format. So negative reinforcement, here's the definition, here's the application. And the application piece is really, again, the part where you're earning those points. And I'm reading that the closest and most carefully to make sure that you understand how to apply it and connect it. So those are the things for this week. So obviously you have everything from last week still. If you haven't done the materials from week 7, sorry, not chapter 7, week 7, make sure you work on those. But the big thing for this week, again, chapters 15 and 16, discussions 15 and 16, exam number 4, and then, of course, the closing assignment. I've also given you a little anonymous closing class survey. You don't have to do this, but if you would like to give me some feedback anonymously about the class, I would love to hear it. I won't know who submitted what. It's all given to me in an anonymous way. So please feel free to be honest. What did you like? What didn't you like? What could I improve? What should I definitely keep? Did you like the Twitch sessions? Did you hate them? Were they a waste of time? So give me some hints and a little bit of feedback. I'm always trying to make my classes better, so I appreciate any information and feedback that you give me. I'll obviously give you the extra credit question here in a moment, but I want to remind you again, I'm going to put this in the chat. Our class officially ends Friday night at 11:59 p.m. Okay, and that's this Friday, right? So that's this Friday, March 3rd at 11:59 p.m. So just make sure that you're really aware of that deadline. You'll notice everything closes on March 3rd. Make sure if you want it to count toward your grade that you get it turned in to me before that deadline on Friday night. Again, I will feel bad for you if you miss it, and it happens every semester, but this is posted in a million places. I'll send out an announcement tomorrow to remind you, and I'm reminding you now. So please try and remember that. Let me give you the extra credit question, and then I'll see if you have any questions for me. I wrote it down here so that I didn't have to type it and talk at the same time, which is always nice. So, and then I had this in the chat. Let me put this here. So our extra credit question for this week is, if someone had a phobia of heights, what are 2 methods that you could use to treat them? I want you to kind of describe and explain. So if somebody had a phobia or a fear of heights, what are 2 different ways that you might treat that fear of heights? And make sure to describe and explain those a little bit. When you're ready to answer that, you will go to the optional Twitch extra credit number 8 and click on that. And then at the top, click Start Assignment. And then as usual, it brings up this little spot where you can type your response and then hit submit. And a lot of you have been doing these all semester. In total, it was like 16 points, which was almost more than a discussion if you had missed one or maybe struggled on an exam. If you haven't done these all semester, you can still do this one, and you can still do week 7 because everything is due. I was going to ask you when, but you can't respond in person. So remember, everything is due by Friday night at 11:59 p.m. And I would like to say really quickly that I've really enjoyed our short class, and thank you so much for all of you who have joined me every week or to the best of your ability. I know that we're all busy and we have classes and schedules and it doesn't always work out, but thank you to those of you who have been here or those of you who are watching this later. I'm happy to do this if it's helpful, so hopefully you have found it to be helpful. And I think, other than seeing if you have any questions for me, that's kind of it. And it's a little bit sad, but it's also exciting that we have made it through and are done. Let me see if I can find a cat. I feel like I need to find a cat for you in order to finish this off. So hold on one second. I'm going to look. was successful. So here's Rolly. He's not very happy with me. He was outside. But this is my favorite cat. This is Rolly, my chonky, huge gray cat. But at least you got to see him for 1 second, right? I don't know if that was worth it or not. He's still here, but he doesn't want to be on camera. Maybe he's shy. He's cute. He's a thick boy, right? He's a huge cat. He's a two-hander, as my kids say. So anyway, at least I got to have one cat on there for you. That's better than nothing, right? Yeah, I have four, but only that one is hanging around. They all know better. They know when I'm home, I'm going to put them on screen. So anyway, I will hang out for a few minutes. If any of you have any questions for me about the closing assignment, the final exam, anything related to that. One last thing I'd like to just say, now is a great time to check your grade. Make sure you look over your grade on Canvas. If anything looks incorrect or missing, this is a good time to let me know. If you let me know before final grades are submitted, I can fix it very easily. If it is something that you notice later, then we have to have forms signed and it's a pain. So just take a quick look over your grade. If anything's missing or looks wrong, email me, ideally today or tomorrow, sometime really soon, and we can take a look at it. Someone said, I have a question about the closing assignment. Are we supposed to answer the whole question? For example, if we choose to do introduction to psychology, do we just choose one topic or do we have to complete the whole prompt? So you're choosing a couple of five different concepts, right? So let's say your concept you pick would be nature versus nurture. So I think what you're doing is like introduction to psychology is chapter 1, right? So that's like the overarching chapter, and then nature versus nurture would be a topic within that chapter or a concept within that chapter. So you wouldn't pick like sensation and perception. You might pick something specific in that chapter, like nature versus nurture, if that makes sense. I hope that helps a little bit. Yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad I got to share at least one cat. My cat Binks was here a minute ago, and then I think he saw me grab Rolly and took off. He's smart. They're like running around like maniacs in the background. So, again, I will hang out for a little while. If you do have any questions, check your grade, get going on the materials for this week. Friday night, Friday. Don't forget that everything ends on Friday night. Thank you all for a wonderful class. I'm going to minimize my video just so I'm not staring at myself. But thank you. You're here from the class that starts next week. Yeah, I will see you next week then. Yeah. Way to be early and check it out. Now you know what to expect for later. Well, I'm glad that you liked the class. That's amazing. And I appreciate that, right? I'm glad that hopefully it was well organized and everything made sense. I know online's a little different, but I love it. And I'm glad that you enjoyed it too. Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Yep, see you next week. And thank you all as well. I'm going to, again, minimize my video unless another cat comes, and then I'll turn it back on for a minute. But if you have any questions, I will be here for a few more minutes hanging out. Thank you again, and I'll hope you all have a good rest of the semester. Yeah, you too. A great rest of the week. Looks like our rain is done, sadly, for now. But maybe that's good. My poor kids, their softball, all of their softball stuff has been canceled for like a week and a half with all this rain. So hopefully it'll give everything a chance to dry out a little bit. You forgot your name. That's okay. Thank you for putting it on there. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you as well. I'm sad that it's almost over too. And you're always welcome if you want. I do teach abnormal psych and human sexuality in person and research methods online. So if you ever want, you are welcome to join me again. I'm here. I'm full time on the campus, so you're welcome to come find me if you'd ever like to. If you'd ever like to take another class. If you've missed anything, so all that you can turn in at this point is anything from week 7 and 8. So once the deadline has passed, it's unfortunately too late. So if it's stuff from last week and this week, totally still fine to turn it in. But unfortunately, anything from before that, at this point, it's going to be too late. So what you could do is, again, do this extra credit today. You can do the one from last week. Those couple of points will help. But if it's from weeks ago, it unfortunately is too late at this point. All right, everyone. It looks like almost all of you have logged off. It looks like there's about one or two of you on here with me. If you think of any questions, email me. Otherwise, thank you all again. Get going on the stuff for this week and have a wonderful rest of the semester.